The blueness of a wound cleanseth away evil, so do stripes the inward parts of the belly. Kim, you got something you want to read? So can you say reach Proverbs chapter 10? Before I go there, is there anybody else that have anything they want to read that they've been meditating on? This is the book of Proverbs chapter 10. The Proverbs of Solomon: a wise son maketh a glad father, but a foolish son is the heaviness of his mother. Treasures of wickedness profit nothing, but righteousness delivers from death. The Lord will not suffer the soul of the righteous to famish, but he casts away substance of the wicked. He becometh poor that dealeth with a slack hand, but the hand of the diligent make rich. He that gathereth in summer is a wise son, but he that sleepeth in harvest is a son that causeth shame. Blessings are upon the head of the just, but violence covereth the mouth of the wicked. The memory of the just is blessed, but the name of the wicked shall rot. The wise in heart will receive commandments, but a prating fool shall fall. He that walketh uprightly walketh surely, but he that perverteth his ways shall be known. He that winketh with the eye causeth sorrow, but a prating fool shall fall. The mouth of a righteous man is a well of life, but violence covereth the mouth of the wicked. Hatred stirreth up strife, but love covereth all sins. In the lips of him that have understanding, wisdom is found, but a rod is for the back of him that is void of understanding. Wise men lay up knowledge, but the mouth of the foolish is near destruction. The rich man's wealth is his strong city. The destruction of the poor is their poverty. The labor of the righteous tendeth to life, the fruit of the wicked to sin. He is in the way of life that keepeth instruction, but he that refuseth reproof erreth. He that hideth hatred with lying lips, and he that uttereth a slander is a fool. In the multitude of words there wanteth not sin, but he that refraineth his lips is wise. The tongue of the just is as choice silver, the heart of the wicked is little worth. The lips of the righteous feed many, but fools die for want of wisdom. The blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich, and he addeth no sorrow with it. It is a sport to a fool to do mischief, but a man of understanding hath wisdom. The fear of the wicked, it shall come upon him, but the desire of the righteous shall be granted. As the whirlwind passes, so is the wicked no more, but the righteous is an everlasting foundation. As vinegar to the teeth, and as smoke to the eyes, so is the sluggard to them that send him. The fear of the Lord prolongeth days, but the years of the wicked shall be shortened. The hope of the righteous shall be gladness, but the expectation of the wicked shall perish. The way of the Lord is strength to the upright, but destruction shall be to the workers of iniquity. The righteous shall never be removed, but the wicked shall not inhabit the earth. The mouth of the just bringeth wisdom, but the froward tongue shall be cut out. The lips of the righteous know what is acceptable, but the mouth of the wicked speaketh forwardness.
Proverbs 11. Dishonest scales are an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. When pride comes, then comes shame, but with the humble is wisdom. The integrity of the upright will guide them, but the perversity of the unfaithful will destroy them. Riches do not profit in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivers from death. The righteousness of the blameless will direct his way aright, but the wicked will fall by his own wickedness. The righteousness of the upright will deliver them, but the unfaithful will be caught by their lust. When a wicked man dies, his expectation will perish, and the hope of the unjust perishes. The righteous is delivered from trouble, and it comes to the wicked instead. The hypocrite with his mouth destroys his neighbor, but through knowledge the righteous will be delivered. When it goes well with the righteous, the city rejoices, and when the wicked perish, there is jubilation. By the blessing of the upright, the city is exalted, but it is overthrown by the mouth of the wicked. He who is devoid of wisdom despises his neighbor, but a man of understanding holds his peace. A talebearer reveals secrets, but he who is of a faithful spirit conceals a matter. Where there is no counsel, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors there is safety. He who is surety for a stranger will suffer, but one who hates being surety is secure. A gracious woman retains honor, but ruthless men retain riches. The merciful man does good for his own soul, but he who is cruel troubles his own flesh. The wicked man does deceptive work, but he who sows righteousness will have a sure reward. As righteousness leads to life, so he who pursues evil pursues it to his own death. Those who are of a perverse heart are an abomination to the Lord, but the blameless in their ways are his delight. Though they join forces, the wicked will not go unpunished, but the posterity of the righteous will be delivered. As a ring of gold in a swine's snout, so is a lovely woman who lacks discretion. The desire of the righteous is only good, but the expectation of the wicked is wrath. There is one who scatters, yet increases more, and there is one who withholds more than is right, but it leads to poverty. The generous soul will be made rich, and he who waters will also be watered himself. The people will curse him who withholds grain, but blessing will be on the head of him who sells it. He who earnestly seeks good finds favor, but trouble will come to him who seeks evil. He who trusts in his riches will fall, but the righteous will flourish like foliage. He who troubles his own house will inherit the wind, and the fool will be servant to the wise of heart. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he who wins souls is wise. If the righteous will be recompensed on the earth, how much more the ungodly and the sinner?
Psalms 19. The Shemaims declare the glory of Yahuwah, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where the voice is not heard. Their line is gone out through all the arets, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoiceth as a strong man runs to a race. His going forth is from the end of the Shemaims, his circuit unto the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. The law of Yahuwah is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of Yahuwah is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of Yahuwah are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of Yahuwah is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of Yahuwah is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of Yahuwah are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired than gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is thy servant warned, and in keeping of them there is a great reward. Who can understand his errors? Cleanse thou from secret faults. Keep back thy servant also from presumptuous sins. Let them not have dominion over me. Then shall I be upright, and I shall be innocent from the great transgression. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Yahuwah, my strength and my redeemer. Yahuwah, hear thee in the day of trouble. The name of the Elohim of Jacob defend thee. Send thee help from the sanctuary and strengthen thee out of Zion. Remember all thy offerings and accept thy burnt sacrifice, Selah. Grant thee according to thy own heart and fulfill all thy counsel. We will rejoice in thy salvation, and in the name of our Elohim we will set up our banners. Yahuwah fulfill all thy partitions. Now know I that Yahuwah saveth his anointed. He will hear him from his holy Shemaim with the saving strength of his right hand. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of Yahuwah our Elohim. They are brought down and fallen, but we are risen and stand upright. Save Yahuwah. Let the King hear us when we call. Else like to read or give a testimony this evening? Hallelujah.
Stand up for that. I just want to give thanks for seeing another Sabbath, there's another Shabbat, and I just want to thank him overall for being a keeper on so many levels. He is a miracle worker, from health to finances to holding back landlords, just holding back systems, shifting systems. Just he is awesome, and I just notice it more because I'm trying my best to stay connected and be rooted in him more, and he's showing me, the closer I get, the more he's revealing himself. So I'm just saying, overall, I just thank him for being a keeper, a miracle worker, a way maker, a comforter, a guider, a director, just everything we need. You just have to sometimes go through something and stay connected to him to look at it and appreciate it more, you know. But he's a keeper. Right now I'm kind of going through something. Long story short, it just seemed like I can't get out right now. But I know who I trust and lean on. And I know he's going to make a way. I know he is. We can talk about it later. But he keeps me in awe. He keeps me in awe. And I thank him so much. That's my testimony.
We got any more testimonies for today? Can we just get one more? Oh, all praises.
Shalom. Shabbat shalom. My testimony, just how the Most High shows that His hand is still upon us. In my situation, finances have shrunk. So I'm like on a budget. I'm on a, you know what, if I lose that over there, I'll be all right. And yesterday I had a bill collector call, and they've been calling for like 3 months. And I was like, I already know the amount is, I get to it once my finances flip. So they called, I recognized the number, and I was like, pick up. I picked up, hello, yes, hey, this is a situation I'm going through right now. And the lady put me on hold, and she came back and said, Mr. Calloway, I talked to my general manager, and we're gonna wipe out that debt. Gave me a $30 credit. And she was like, you deserve it. And that was it. And I had to praise, I try to be an emotional person, but from that day, from different conversations I was having throughout the day, I was like, man, this is just not looking. And for that to come, I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was overwhelmed, like, you know, those blessings that come and take over, and I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting this is going to be it, and, you know, I just thank Yahuwah so even though it was the amount, it just increases my faith on other things. Like, you know what, why are you worrying about a phone call? Why are you worried about this when everything is in the Master's hand? So I just give praise and honor to the Most High.
Hallelujah. Boys, we ready? Hallelujah. Hallelujah. You know, we got to keep these children encouraged. You know, when I was coming up, children were meant to be seen and not heard. That was what they believed back in the day. Now we know that when we look at Solomon in his youth and the Most High spoke to him, Josiah, children are meant to be heard and seen. And so I just give praise because there are so many children who won't even try to participate. But we have a house where the children love to pitch in where they can and give Yah what praise that they can, because this is what they understand at this particular moment of their lives. And I give Yah praise, and I give him glory, I give him honor. I give him all the kabod I can because he is worthy. I was listening to the testimonies, and even with everything that goes on with all of our lives, when we look at Israel, and Israel had to walk through the wilderness for 40 years, their shoes never wore out, their clothes never tore, despite what they was going through. They may have had to fight with a little bit of hunger, a little bit of thirst. But the Father had them in his hand. They couldn't look at the small things and be glad for that small thing. And because of this, many didn't make it into the promised land. So as we stand here on this beautiful Shabbat morning, or afternoon rather, let's just remind ourselves that we could be sitting outside in a box, living in our cars, living under a bridge. I met somebody a couple of weeks ago when I was at work, and to hear their testimony, how glad that they had how happy they were to have had a car to be able to sleep in, how they were happy because they was provided a blanket for the night on a cold night. And they was just up and just praising the Most High as I was walking through my job, and I was just looking at this woman, and she was just giving him praise. And it just really makes you think, or it should really bring something back to our memories of our people. Because this person wasn't one of Israel. She was someone else. But she still was giving him all the praise that she could muster. And that in turn inspired me through my entire day. Because guess what? I got up that morning in the mind like, you know what? This ain't worth this. I got up in the mindset that morning that I was just stressed out, and I had had enough, and I was ready to walk away from a lot of things. And as I was cleaning out an empty apartment and I accidentally bumped that car, it woke her up. Yah is intentional with everything he does, because after I spoke with this young lady and I listened to her testimony, I'm like, who the heck am I to complain about anything? Because it could always been another way. It could went another direction. And for me, if anybody knows about if you know about my upbringing, you know it's pretty rough. So I am standing here today, and I'm giving Yah praise, because that praise is due to him and him only. Because it didn't have to be this way. I could have been the one in that car, sleeping under a blanket, freezing through the night. Because when I saw that blanket, I was like, "Ooh, how in the world did she stay warm?" But she was grateful. So let's be grateful for even the smallest of things, y'all. Let's not think that it could be worse, or we need it better, because we could always look and see it worse. And so for my testimony is, he's intentional. He's intentional. Me bumping into that car by accident was no accident. He saw I needed something that morning. He saw I needed to be reminded of some things. Because, let's admit it, sometimes we become complacent, thinking that we deserve things that we really don't deserve. And he reminds us that he can take that thing away from us at any time. So while we have breath in our lungs, while we have the opportunity to say thank you, give up everything that you have. Stand up on your feet and give him everything that you have. Hallelujah! 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 It can always be worse. It can always be in a worse situation. And I praise him from the bottom of my soul, from the bottom of my heart. And I pray that he continues to cleanse our minds of this ignorance that we have in ourselves, to help us to see more clearly the path that he has laid before us. Nothing is by accident. It's all intentional. Hallelujah! 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 Hallelujah!
And God spoke all these words, saying, I'm the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that take his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day and to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath unto the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt do no work, any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Hallelujah.
Shabbat shalom, y'all. How y'all doing? All praises. Hey, it's good to see everybody. It's good to be here. Man, it's like, it sounds like everybody getting the same praise report. Because, man, similar thing happened to us. had something to come up. It ain't come up. It was always there, but I had to take care of it. And so I'm getting to the point where it's like, I'm gonna go ahead and make this call and tell them I got it, even though I don't got it. But I'm gonna get it somehow, and yeah, it somehow happened. In a major way, So yeah, it was able to get taken care of, and it was a major thing. So yeah.
I don't know what. I don't know what Nadavia put last week, the praise report that she put, but it just made me while I was cleaning. I was just rejoicing, not knowing what the praise report was, and then I was like rejoice with those that rejoice. And sometimes it reciprocates. Sometimes we don't look at, when people give a praise report, it's not or when someone says, look what the Most High has done, rejoice for that person. Why? Because it might come to you. And it's not a church thing, but I'm just saying, to have the same report, I worship the Most High for y'all. And I pray, and I'm like, Father, whatever that situation was, I thank you for taking care of it. And I thank him for taking care of my situation. And for your situation and any else in this house situation that we're going through, we're coming out of a season, going into another season. Reap this harvest now. And we're going to go into the fall, and we're going to the spring feast, and we're going to reap again. But it's what seeds are you sowing now? What are you planting now? Are you planting how they going to get a blessing and I can't get a blessing and I'm struggling? Now you're sowing a bad seed. But rejoice with them that rejoice. Weep with those that weep, and don't weep. When they weeping, it's not a ha-ha. Have love for one another. I'm sorry. Shalom. Let me sit down.
Praises. I guess right on point. It's right on point. Yeah, all praises. Like that's right on point. So we're gonna finish up with Cain and Abel today, and yeah, you'll see where we're going. So yeah, all praises. All right, so yeah, as y'all see, this Torah portion technically was supposed to be from Genesis 1:1 through Genesis 6:8. So it's been a minute since we started it, but this particular Parsha is all one group together, and is Parsha Bereshiyth. So we're going to close this one out today, and then we're going to go into the next one next week. All right, so disclaimer. The scriptures expressed in the study are those of the author and not my own. Viewer discretion is advised. Oh, it's not streaming. I got you. I should have known better. All right. So let me know if we good back there. All praises. All praises. So the scriptures expressed in this study are those of the author and not my own. Viewer discretion is advised. Guidelines for the lesson: we want to let all things be done with decency and order, so this will help us better serve one another. So these lessons are intended to be interactive. So please ask all questions, make statements in the microphone so that everybody can hear you. These are being streamed on YouTube, so just be aware of that as well. And we are live now. So we want to be mindful of the time, so please limit responses to roughly 60 seconds or less. This will give others an opportunity to ask questions and give input. It's obviously not a hard rule, but just something to be in mind of. We want to stay on topic. If you have questions that don't pertain to the topic of the lesson, please hold those until after the study. This will help us better serve your question and give it the proper attention it deserves. And if we move on from a point and you don't get a chance to ask your question or make your statement, if by the end of the study it still hasn't been addressed, please hold this until the end of the study and we can revisit it. All right, so Hebrews 4:11 says, "Let us therefore do our utmost to enter into that rest, lest anyone fall after the same example of disobedience. For the word of Elohim is living and working and sharper than any two-edged sword, cutting through even to the dividing of being and spirit and of joints and marrow, and able to judge the thoughts and intentions of the heart. And there is no creature hidden from his sight, but all are naked and laid bare before the eyes of him with whom is our account." Now, y'all know this time of the year, this is the sowing season, right, in Israel. And we all know that we reap what we sow, right? So just like Ak was just bringing out, make sure we're being responsible for everything that we reap or that we sowing now, because y'all know how it is. Before we look up, it's going to be, we going into the winter, we're going to be coming out of the winter. And it's going to be spring season again, and then we're going to be right back at the top of the year. So, yeah, and that's when the harvest time is. So just be mindful that everything that you're sowing now, you know, it's inevitable that that's going to be coming back up and you're going to be reaping from that. So if you sow good now, you know, Yah willing, you can reap good later. If you sow something bad now, you're going to take care of that too, right? So all praises. These lessons are not directed at any one person or group, but are intended to be edifying and useful to all who have joined themselves to the covenant of Yahuwah. So the Father is impartial and none can avoid him, even a person who is tasked with presenting the lesson, which is me, myself. So we are all held to this standard, and none of us are above his ways, corrections, or reproofs. So Romans 2:1, "Therefore, O man, you are without excuse, everyone who judges, for in which you judge another, you condemn yourself, since you who judge practice the same wrongs. And we know that the judgment of Elohim is according to truth against those who practice such wrongs. And do you think, O man, you who judge those practicing such wrongs and doing the same, that you shall escape the judgment of Elohim?" And obviously, it's a rhetorical. No, ain't no getting around that, right? So, yeah. Stand in front of it if you want. And if you're on the wrong side of the sword, you're going to get cut. That's just the way that it works, right? So, all right, jumping back in. Let's do a quick recap, because like I said, we're going to close this one out today. We started with story of creation, right? We looked at Elohim creating the heavens, created the earth, everything that is in it, right? He established a certain order, a divine order, if you will, and he gave dominion to mankind, gave dominion to the man, right, to maintain that established order in the earth, right? So we see from that he then goes on to, well, before that, let me not put the cart before the horse. We also touched on a point that the concept of a divine order, right, of a divine council, where you got the most high, and you have other sons of the Most High that are supposed to be listening to his instruction, right, carrying it out, right? Fast forward, now we got chapter 2, we dealing with the man and the woman in the garden, right? So he places them in the garden. We looked at the responsibilities that he gave to the first man. We looked at the connection between what his name is as far as him being Adam, and the connection to that with him actually being created from the Adamah, from the ground, right, from the dust of the earth, right? So something about this dust of the earth, he was no different than anything else that was created, right? He was named for a reason, and there's something about the way that he was named that would tell him about what he was, right? And same going on when we see all of the animals. The animals got brought forth before Adam. He had the name Nose. Same with his Isha when she was made, right? All this is observation and gaining understanding for the function of a thing, right, before he named it, because now at this point he's understanding the Father's divine order, right? So now we're moving on from that. here comes a serpent that comes into the field, right? Now, this serpent was the most subtle beast of the field, right? And what did it do? It's a whisperer, the Nakash, right? It's a whisperer, an enchanter, knows how to say just the right thing to get you to question what the Most High said. That's what happened, right? We end up seeing the woman says that she's deceived. The man follows along, even though he knows better. And then they get kicked out of the garden, exiled, right? So in that, we learn that, no, there's a principle of the way that the Most High moves, right? You don't move right in this house, and what happens? Hey, you got to go. I don't know where you're going to go, but you got to get up out of here, right? So he sends them out of the Garden of Eden. We talked about the two cherubim, right? And how you start looking all around the world, you'll find that these quote-unquote cherubim, a lot of nations know about these things. And a lot of nations have seen these things. Some of them worship them. Some of them deify them. These quote-unquote guardians, right? They pop up all over the place. Like every nation knows about them. We looked at that, but then we saw that when the other nations got this information, these two cherubim, they doing something different, right? They giving the heads of these nations access to a quote-unquote tree, and they're not requiring righteousness. Like, we didn't get into like the inscriptions that we saw. We're going to touch back on that when we get to Nimrod. But all of those things that we saw as far as the Assyrian reliefs, those came out of a place called the Palace of Nimrud. Nimrud. This is in modern day Iraq. And if you, on those same reliefs, if you continue reading, you'll see the story that's along with those pictures. And basically the king is bragging and boasting about all of the heinous things that he's doing to the nations and taking over all of these different lands and all of these different places by brute force. Like, he's talking about cutting heads off, delimbing people, cutting babies out of, like, it's graphic. But yet these cherubim are the ones that he's saying is rewarding him for this and giving him authority, right? So we saw all of that. Then we looked at Cain and Abel, because now they got to deal with life outside of the garden, right? We saw that Eve named him Cain, saying, I have gotten a man from Elohim. But then we start looking at it and saying, maybe it's time for you to reap something that you sowed, right? Because it was told to you, hey, in sorrow you're going to conceive. Does anybody know what Abel's name means? Because last week, remember I said it was mentioned why she named Cain Cain. But it never touched on why Abel was called Habel. So does anybody know what his name means? I know you know. No, not quite. So vanity, right? Vanity, something in vain, right? His life was cut short. And it's like, I brought forth this child in vain, right? So you seeing how these curses, right? He said, in sorrow you're going to bring forth. How many of us, it's like, man, we look at the world and it's like, man, it is not getting any better. And it's hard to fathom having to bring and raise up children in this society, knowing the direction that it's going. I mean, we still doing it, but it's in sorrow, right? It's sorrow and grief. Every day you worrying about their well-being, you worrying about where things are going, and you worrying about, like, man, it was bad for me coming up, but it's looking crazy. And it's things that they having to worry about that we didn't have to worry about. A whole lot of things. So they outside of the garden, right? They reaping what they sowing. Thorns and thistles. Right? This ground is going to produce. You're going to get a lot of bad with a little bit of good. That's just when, before everything was good. Told me old. Nothing was bad in this place. All right, so now we fast forwarding because Cain killed Abel. We touched on a little bit of the reason why he did it, right? We're going to dig into it a little bit more. I hadn't intended on it, but then I thought about it. I said, you know what? Let's touch on it. All right, so here we are, Genesis 4 and 5. It says, but unto Cain, and to his offering he had not respect, and Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. And Yahuwah said unto Cain, why are you wroth? Why are you angry? And why is your countenance fallen? If you do well, shall you not be accepted? If you do not do well, sin lies at the door, and unto you shall be his desire, and you shall rule over him. All right, so we talked about that a little bit last week. Is this relationship between how sin functions within you and what your job is to it, right? As far as taming it. Matthew chapter 5 and 21. He says, you heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not murder, and whoever murders shall be liable to the judgment. But I say to you that whoever is wroth with his brother, without a cause shall be liable to judgment. Whoever says to his brother Raka shall be liable to the Sanhedrin, but whoever says you fool shall be liable to fire of Gehenna. All right, so Matthew 5, 21 and 22. What do y'all get from that? What is Mashiach trying to convey? What is he trying to express? Say it again in a mic out.
Don't have any hatred in your heart.
Okay, don't have any hatred in your heart. Sister Kim.
I see it as him telling us how we are to relate to our brother, or the brethren, or each other. Relationship. He wants the opposite of this.
All praises. The W.
In the Torah, when you murder someone, there's a punishment, there's a judgment for that. Sometimes if we feel like we're not doing the biggest sin on what we think is the biggest sin, then we are okay. But if you are, like Ak said, hating your brother, or you're speaking or you're acting in a certain way that's not of Abba Yahuwah, is unrighteous, you might as well just be murdering. So I would say that it puts emphasis on more than, like, it put emphasis on loving your brother and what that means.
All praises. All praises. So we know that where it says, as a man thinketh, so is he, right? So, hey, he's letting you know, if you entertaining this in your heart, if that seed is in your heart, what do you think is going to happen? Eventually, it's going to keep growing until this thing manifests, right? Now, go back and look at what he said to Cain, because the father was trying to warn him of this, right? He said, hey, I see you. Why are you looking like that? What are you angry about? Hold on, wait a minute. Sin has a desire to have you. Take control of it, because if you don't, it's going to take control of you. Just a show of hands, has anybody ever been angry, upset, and said or did something that in that moment, it made sense. But when you go back and you look at it, it's like, man, I was out of character. That ain't me. I gotta apologize. My bad. I shouldn't have done that. I was just upset in that moment, right? So you see how, again, this desire is to rule over you. This desire is to have you. You gotta control it, because if you don't, when it take control, it's gonna take you all out of character, right? You'll be getting pulled in every which direction, right? If somebody done seen me on my worst day, man, my yah, right? It don't, man, ain't nobody ask for you to co-sign like that. The one person that done seen me on them worst days, but yeah, like, yeah, I would hate for that to be representative of the whole of me, but the truth of the reality is that, man, it came from somewhere, and it came from me not keeping something in check, me not governing over something and allowing something to govern me, right? So let me ask y'all, what do y'all think Cain should have done to deal with the sin that lied at his door, and how? What could he have done at this point?
Listen to instructions from the Most High.
All praises. Listen to instruction from the Most High. Anybody got anything else? Because we know that, again, we still go through these same things, right? Like, these are examples that are written for our learning. And as bad of a character as Cain is, the way that I see it, he's not really that much different than me on my worst day. It's the truth of the matter. I done been where he's been at, where I said something or did something, not to that extreme or to that extent, but I'm just as unproud of those moments as I'm sure he was, right? Go ahead.
Acknowledge what he's feeling or what he's thinking, and then admitting that it's not right. Okay, this is the sin before me that Abiyahu is talking about. I see it. Let me get my mind together. Let me get me together so that I don't do anything that I will regret. So I would say acknowledgement, and then, of course, repentance. How would that look? You know, obviously, they will build altars, and, you know, they will be praying to Abiyahu and calling on his name. So I would say getting in tune with the Father to help him remove whatever is not like him and you. So, yeah, those are the steps, some of the steps.
All praises.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shalom, shalom, elder.
Sometimes we have to take an assessment of our own self to see what dwells in our heart. Mm-hmm. And if he did that, he would have to come to understanding that, why am I really mad at Abel? I really don't have any cause to be mad at Abel. Mm-hmm. So, you know, in doing it and reassessing it, then, you know, who are you really mad with? You know, God forbid that you be mad at Yah, mm-hmm. you know, mm-hmm. but in essence, it wasn't nothing that Abel did that should cause you to be angry with him, at least enough to kill him. Mm-hmm. You know, so that would say a lot about himself and his own character. So in saying that, this is something that you have to deal with your inner heart to see why it is that I'm so angry, and why am I angry, and who am I angry with, or even should I be angry? You know, so this is something I think we all have to do at certain times and period in our own life, is taking a reassessment of our own self to see where we are in standing with the Most High and with our brothers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, I had brought it up last week that it was jealousy. You know, there was a lot of jealousy on Cain's part for his brother because, you know, we know the situation. He was, you know, his offering wasn't up to par. So, but like Elder said, it was not as bad. It wasn't that deep where he felt he should have killed him. do better. But it was like between the two of them, he would be considered the bad seed. So he had what Cain had in him, like you said, on a person's worst day, anybody can snap. I mean, any of us are susceptible to snapping at any time. Nobody's exempt from that. But it was inherited because we were born in sin and shaped in iniquity. So we can never say what we would never do. I wouldn't think I would kill somebody, but who knows? But the Most High, because he said we don't even know what's in the depths of our hearts. He said, the depths of a heart of the man, who can know it? So he knows what's deep in our hearts. We don't know. Mm-hmm. We can only say what we wouldn't do. But, that's why it brings me to the verse, be angry and sin not. That's Cain sin. Mm-hmm. It's okay to be angry, because there's a righteous anger, to where, for justice, what is righteous. But if you getting so angry that you want to kill somebody, that you want to pop off and cuss them out, and maybe your blood pressure, you about to blow a blood vessel, that's sin. Because you changing your body function, your temperature, your body chemistry is changing. You putting it under some kind of stress that the body doesn't need. I mean, I could go on and on, but Cain, they didn't have the word back then, but he just, to me, he could have just took a run somewhere and punched some trees or punched the ground, beat the ground or something. They didn't have punching bags back then, but I don't know, just go blow off some steam, just walk away. And that's what sometimes we got to learn to do in situations, walk away, hold our peace, and let the Most High deal with it.
All praises. So you see how one little seed of unrighteousness, it can grow, it can grow, it can grow, it can grow, it can grow. And the next thing you know, you're in a bad position, right? All praises. So 1 John 3:11, it says, because it is the message that you heard from the beginning that we should love one another, not as Cain, who was of the wicked one and killed his brother. And why did he kill him? Because his works were wicked, but those of his brother were righteous. Do not marvel, my brothers, if the world hates you. We know that we have passed out of death into life because we love the brothers. The one not loving his brother stays in death. Everyone hating his brother is a murderer. And you know that no murderer has everlasting life staying in him. By this we have known love, because he laid down his life for us. And we ought to lay down our lives for the brothers. He said there is no greater love than this, than to lay down your life for your brethren. So something about that screams self-sacrifice, right? You got to give of yourself. And sometimes that's like you gotta hold the L. You got to eat the humble pie just for the sake of your brother, right? But that's how love works and how love functions, right? Love is, okay, you know what? Let me not be selfish. I got my desires. I have my wants. I got the things that I want to do. But let me step back and let me consider the next person. Right? Got to. But that's if you got love in your heart. If you got something else in your heart, something else is going to manifest. Right? Love is patient. Right? Holds no record of wrong. It's all these ways that love functions, right? Love is correction, but it's also correction and reproof in a loving way, right? You never lose sight of the goal of what the main thing is. Y'all hear me say all the time, keep the main thing the main thing. Main thing is hey, if I love you, I want the best for you. I ain't gonna see you messed up. I ain't gonna see you going. So even if it's the one who I know hates me, if his donkey is over there under a burden, his ox is under, let me stop doing what I'm doing and let me go over there and help. And then who knows, maybe in that, in showing love, because love covers a multitude, right? Then who knows, maybe perhaps I just might win my brother. And so now, see how this works. My good works, Father can receive the esteem. Now we can both glorify his name. But if you don't operate in love, you don't pick the selfish route every time, 10 times out of 10. And the flesh want to do that. Like, it's just like J.G. Wentworth. It's my money and I want it now. Only way that the flesh knows how to work. Animals got flesh and blood too, right? And what do? Instinct. They don't second think and challenge nothing. They just operate off of primal instinct. Means to an end. So if that means I gotta claw eyeball out to get what I'm trying to get to, that's what I'm gonna do. If that means it's the cold season, anybody ever had a mouse in the house? Disrespectful as all get out, right? They don't think about all the hard work that I'm doing for my house, to keep my lights on, to put food in my cabinets. They don't care about none of that. All they care about is doing what they want to do. Hey, and then look, and then the cat don't, he not gonna hunt the mouse just for me. Like, that's not what it is. Like, they do all kind of weird stuff. Like, they'll come back with the remains and show you what they did. But like, that's more, I think, especially looking at how cats are, like, that's more just like a flex. Like, I can do this, right? Like, but it's instinct, right? Like, it's instinct. In a lot of ways, sometimes we just move in instinct, right? And those instincts ain't always the right thing. Right. The second thought is usually the better thought, right? All praises. Ah.
Galatians 5, where it says 5:24, and they that are Christ have crucified the flesh with the affections and lusts, meaning to basically kill that noise whenever that anger takes over and have you acting unseemly against the word. Once you know better, you're supposed to do better, so you're held accountable.
All praises.
That leads me to, I don't know if anybody's ever thought of this, but if you think about every sin, I believe pride is at the base and foundation of every sin. Any sin that you can think of is pride-based. And then, therefore, hence selfishness, It's all about you. Like Ryan said, it ain't about you. It ain't all about you, but it's about pleasing the Father. So, in pleasing the Father, we have to swallow our pride and do what He wants us to do, not what we want to do, because our flesh wants to rise up on every occasion. It wants to prove, you can't do, I ain't the one, you can't talk to me in kind of way, you can't, That's flesh, and the Most High is trying to bring us to a level in Him that you're willing to just, not just basically be a doormat, but, reflect Him, reflect His character. And then, like you said, you might win that person over and you reap coals of fire on their head when you doing it the Most High's way.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just going to make you stronger in Him and reflect Him more.
All praises. So, Hebrews 12:14, it says, pursue peace with all and pursue apartness without which no one shall see the master. See to it that no one falls short of the favor of Elohim, that no root of bitterness springing up causes trouble, by which many become defiled. So he said a big tree of bitterness, or a root of bitterness. He says, lest there be anyone who whores or profane one like Esau, who for a single meal sold his birthright. For you know that afterward, when he wished to inherit the blessing, he was rejected, for he found no place for repentance, though he sought it with tears. Right? So we haven't got to Esau yet. That's in a few weeks, but he sold his whole birthright, everything, for a bowl of soup. A bowl of soup. But what that's saying is, on a broader scale, is we can be so narrow-minded in the moment, right? Like in the moment, like he said, hey, what good is it to me? I'm about to die. Ain't no good. What is a birthright gonna do for me if I die today? Right? But sometimes when we make decisions, we only think about the short term and what's going to benefit us right here and right now. And it's not even benefiting us right here and right now. But long run, we would sit back and think about it like, hold on now, wait a minute now. Come on, bro, you know better than that. My whole birthright for a bowl of soup?
Probably had a moment of weakness. But that's why oh man, I lost my thought. Yeah.
All praises.
But what they was just speaking on, because I'm dealing with a situation now, and I'm hoping the person, sometimes we get in situations that sometimes we put ourselves in situations, and now we want to crash out. Now we're only looking at the situation and not looking nowhere farther than the situation. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have Yahuwah, you don't have the Ruach, there's nothing that's going to give you that reassurance, that strength to make it through whatever trial is going on before you just do something silly and you act out in your flesh and your anger, and now you sitting somewhere behind bars saying, man, I wish I would have did that differently. Mm-hmm. But too many times we look at the situation and we just react to the situation. Mm-hmm. I don't know, the gentleman, the football player that just committed suicide. Mm-hmm. If he could have looked beyond that current situation, but too many times we would give up our birthright, our way to live, just to take this away from me.
Mm-hmm. Praises. And that's especially a thing when you're young, because you ain't lived long enough to see that tomorrow comes. It all comes to pass. It's kind of the ebbs and flows of life. Like, it's ups and it's downs. It's winds, it's waves, it's rain, and then it's sun, and it's a cycle.
I just want to go back to verse 14. It's imperative and important to point out the first few words of that verse. Pursue peace with all. Now, I know, I'm not sure what this version of the Bible is. I know on the familiar verse of it is pursue peace with all men, that without holiness, and I know you have apartness, no man will see the Most High. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of things you have to do here. You got to pursue peace. You got to be holy. He says, be ye holy, for I am holy. Okay? So if you're holy, you're going to pursue peace. You know, with anyone. And that means your worst enemy, you're going to pursue peace. And, you know, he said, blessed are the peacemakers, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So it's imperative that we do what the word says. I mean, it's just that simple. We got to pursue peace, just even on our worst day. And it might not be our fault. It might not be your fault. It might be their fault. Pursue peace anyway. Kill them with kindness, as the world says. Kill them with kindness. And a lot of times in those situations, people tend to melt a person's heart when they see they've been so evil and mean to you. I'll never forget a former pastor I was under. He was out at dinner, and he said this waitress was treating them so ugly. And, you know, he tipped her big time. He still tipped her big time. And he said when he gave her that tip, she immediately broke down crying. And that's just an example of this, you know, because a lot of times we want to do evil for evil. Like, oh, shoot, she was nasty and mean. She ain't get nothing. But when you're reflecting Christ, we're not supposed to be tit for tat. That's childish. When we are old, we put away childish things. You know, we're supposed to reflect, like I said, more and more. That's what I'm emphasizing here, reflecting more and more of Christ, putting away those childish behaviors, them things that so easily beset us, those sins that will easily beset us. He tells us not to entertain those things. You know, that's why we have to know the word, read it, and know it, and apply it daily, like Ox said back here. We have to die daily, as Apostle Paul said, and kill this flesh. This flesh don't want to die. We got to kill it daily if we want to be successful in this walk.
Praises. Elder Wood. We got you, Zakane. Don't forget it this time.
Just to land back on what she was saying, I think the key word in that whole message is that it says that pursue. This would be an indication that you don't really have it. This is something that you have to work on daily. You know, something that you have to put before you and walk in this walk as best you can. You're gonna stumble. You know, you're gonna have times you're gonna get angry with someone. You know, this is why, you know, the love of the Most High is giving us a way to redeem ourselves from that by repenting, because he knows that we are made of flesh. And this is something that we have to pursue daily, you know, in our endeavors, in who we deal with, and the things that we say, and the things that we do. You know, this is not something that we all have at one time. No, you know, because we're all human. You know, and just like it's like Cain had sin sitting at his doorstep, we all have that too. It's whether you're gonna pick it up or you're gonna walk around it or go another direction. So in pursuing these things, this is something you have to work on daily.
All praises. All praises. So Deuteronomy 29:18, it says, "Lest there be among you a man or a woman or a clan or a tribe whose heart turns away today from you who are Elohim to go and serve the mighty ones of these nations." So yes, the nations, they do have their own Elohim. "Lest there should be among you a root bearing bitterness or wormwood." Again, just a small root. And we done seen it happen many a times where a small group of people came back with a bad report, and next thing you know, the whole nation can't go in now. Like, straight up. About to kill Moses and Aaron and everything. So don't take much, right? And usually a root, the thing about roots is that's all underground. You can't see them from the surface, right? So by the time you see something poking out of the surface, roots been spread out, right? Roots got to be strong enough to support whatever grows on top of it. And that works the same way spiritually as well. So it says, and it shall be when he hears the words of this curse that he should bless himself in his heart, saying, I have peace, though I walk in the stubbornness of my heart, in order to add drunkenness to thirst. Right? So this is what we don't want to be. This is what we call reprobate 101. Right? Instead of making a correction, Cain was told, hey, sin is at your door. He walked off, said, no, I'm good. I'm straight, I'm good. He said, Yahuwah would not forgive him, but rather the displeasure of Yahuwah and his jealousy shall burn against that man, and every curse that is written in this book shall settle on him, and Yahuwah shall blot out his name from under the heavens. All right, so blot out his name from what? Okay, so everything that we do and don't do is being recorded, right? Everything that we do and everything that we don't do is being recorded and being written in quote unquote books, right? Then you want your name to be in the book of life. All praises. So, like I said, notice how it doesn't always start heavy, but it can get heavy, right? And this is with any work of the flesh, right? Like you can go down the list. It doesn't just have to be anger that this applies to. Like go down the list, throw a dart at the board and pick one. And it start as a small seed and grow. To the next thing you know, you looking, whoa, how did I get here? All praises. Sin's crouching at the door, his desires to have you. Rule over it. So how does the Torah teach us to love one another, right? Leviticus 19:9, it says, and when you reap the harvest of your land, do not completely reap the corners of your field or gather the gleanings of your harvest. How many of us got a field that we planting in? And few, right? But I know you got something. Usually, we try to have something too, but the principle, it goes far beyond just growing fruits and vegetables, right? The principle is teaching you not to be selfish, right? To understand, hey, if the Most High is blessing me with something and he's giving me the increase of something, not only is it for me, but I can also bless another. I don't have to make sure, right? I'm going through, one grape over there, grab that grape off the ground, nothing goes to waste. Like, no, leave that for somebody else who needs it. You done got more than you can do anything with. Leave the corners. Go ahead, Hug.
I brought this up a couple of nights ago when we was on live, and like in Acts chapter 2, it talks about how the apostles went around and different people were bringing them things, and they were divvying out and giving to everyone that was around, so that everyone had everything in common. Nobody lacked anything. And what that shows me is this is kingdom building. This is what it's supposed to, a nation that love each other, that's on one accord, one mind, one heart. This is what this looks like. Nobody goes hungry. Now nobody's coveting. Now nobody's stealing. Now nobody's killing. I think, all that, just, love your neighbor, like that covers all the commandments, right? Just give you a little example of what that means and what it looked like. So us as a nation, this is how it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. All praises. Say that one more time, Elder, if you don't mind.
It's also evidence of what type of character that you have, so that you have something to build on, that you're not selfish, that you're caring for your brothers and your sisters, You know, you're just not dwelling on your own self and your own family, but you're more engaged with the whole community and those all around you. So this will speak volumes about your character as an individual.
Mm-hmm. All praises. All praises. And that way works, right? Like, there's something to be said where it talks about a good name is better than rubies. One time Zakeem broke it down, like a ruby is a very rare thing. It's a perfect ruby is very rare. Like it's a difficult thing to find. And a good name is even better than that. Sister Kim.
Like the elder said, it's about, a lot of it is about character, integrity, and I think, I really believe that the Most High is constantly trying to establish character in us, build character in us. Mm-hmm. Anytime he's chastising us to whip us into shape, he's trying to establish character in us. And you know, what's your character? What's your character representing? Who's your character representing? Mm-hmm. You know, you got to ask yourself that. That's why he says to, you know, he tells us to examine yourself to see if you're in the faith. Mm-hmm. Prove yourself. That's daily. We have to do that. Mm-hmm. And that's about your actions with your faith. You know, because faith without works is dead. We you know, we can say we have faith, but if you don't have no actions backing that up through your lifestyle and your walk with Christ, it's like, you know, you're fooling yourself.
Mm-hmm. All praises. And we was talking, me and Ox was talking a few weeks ago about like understanding what that opportune time is for you. Because sometimes that's the thing, is that we really don't understand what the opportune time for us to be attacked is, right? Like it says that the Hashatan left Mashiach until an opportune time. Like sin is lying at your door. It's got this predatory nature. It's waiting. It's waiting for you to get weak, waiting for you so it can pounce on you. Understand what your opportune times are. Okay, man, I've been working a lot. Like, for me, that's one of the things that I had to get a whole lot better with navigating, because, I mean, y'all done heard the story. Like, when I'm going. And it's like, sometimes I got to use some wisdom, slow down and say, all right, bills, whatever it is this, I need X, Y, but it's probably going to benefit me more if I stop, unplug for a second, and I get back after it. Like, you got to do that because you know, hey, this is an opportune time. I'm weak. It's just like how Mashiach was after he had fasted. Now this is the opportune time for you to be tempted, right? So let me stop. I was sharing with them, picking up a delivery. I done drove all the way out past Brookville, pick up this order. And I was debating on the way going there, like, man, I probably shouldn't have took this. Like, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it. So I get there. Now, mind you, when I pull into the parking lot, the workers there saw me, held the door open for me when I walked in, and then went straight to the back. So he's just in the back, and I'm sitting there waiting. I'm off probably in 3 days, and I got probably about 8 hours of sleep over the period of 3 days. So I'm sitting here like I'm surviving off of coffee, and like, I ain't got the patience on this particular day, right? But I'm sitting there. Now on my way up there, I'm meditating like on those very things. Okay, no, opportune time. Like, getting myself together, not knowing why I'm meditating on it. But then when I get there, it's like, oh no, I see now. I ain't see it in that moment. I saw it after I left. But it was a test, like, so I done waited here for 30 minutes quietly, and ain't nobody came up here. I'm just quietly waiting. But like Sister Kim was saying, blood pressure rising and like you about to blow up, like I was overheating. Like system was overloading. Like I'm overheating at this point. That vein in my forehead is like pulsating. But I'm sitting here, I'm being quiet, right? So then she finally come up and she like, oh no, we ain't got that. I'm like, so you watch me come in here. I done waited all this time. Then drove all the way from where I was at, which was nowhere near over here. Came all the way up here. It took everything in me not to blow a gasket and go off on their whole staff. Like, but then I thought about it, I was just like, all praises, I appreciate it, thank you. Walked off. It was the hardest thing in that moment. Now, looking back on it in hindsight, it's like, it really wasn't that serious. It ain't that difficult. But in that moment, because it was an opportune time, oh, yes, it was. Boy, like, had to go outside, pop the hoodie off and everything. I'm, like, overheating. Took everything in me not to, like, for real, turn up. I say that to say, you got to be aware of yourself in those opportune times. Because if you think that the enemy is not going to attack and the wrong thing is going to happen at the right time, you fooling yourself. That's just the way that it works. So yeah, you got to have something beyond yourself to hold on to in the moments. Because if you're relying on just your emotions in that moment, it's going to be all bad, right, for everybody. So Leviticus 19:10, it says, and do not glean your vineyard or gather every grape of your vineyard. Leave them for the poor and the stranger. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim. Do not steal, do not lie, do not deceive one another. And do not swear falsely by my name and so profane the name of your Elohim. I am Yahuwah. Do not oppress your neighbor or rob him. The wages of him who is hired is not to remain with you all night until morning. Do not curse the deaf or put a stumbling block before the blind, but fear your Elohim. I am Yahuwah. Do no unrighteousness in right ruling. Do not be partial to the poor or favor the face of the great, but rightly rule your neighbor in righteousness. Do not go slandering among your people. Do not stand against the blood of your neighbor. I am Yahuwah. Do not hate your brother in your heart. Reprove your neighbor for certain, and bear no sin because of him. Do not take vengeance or bear a grudge against the children of your people. And you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am Yahuwah. Right? So, like Sister Kim pointed out, be you therefore set apart or holy, because I, Yahuwah your Elohim, I'm holy. I'm set apart. All right, so notice how applying the righteousness of the Torah can uproot the seeds of bitterness and conflict, both internal and external. Right? Circumcise the heart. And then you just might find sometimes it's something about when a man's ways please Elohim that he even causes enemies to be at peace with him. Right? All right, so some manifestations of the heart, right? We're going to look at this in Book of Jasher. We're going to get a little bit more details of how this happened with Cain and Abel, all right? We're going to look at Jubilees as well a little bit, right? And this is just, I just want you to consider some things with it, okay? So this is Book of Jasher, chapter 1, starting at verse 12. It says, and Yahuwah Elohim drove them that day from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from which they were taken. And they went and dwelt at the east of the Garden of Eden, and Adam knew his wife Eve, and she bore 2 sons and 3 daughters. And she called the name of the firstborn Cain, saying, I have obtained a man from Yahuwah. And the name of the other she called Abel, for she said, in vanity we came into the earth, and in vanity we shall be taken from it. What happened to Abel? In vain he was taken from the earth. And the boys grew up, and their father gave them a possession in the land. And Cain was a tiller of the ground, and Abel a keeper of sheep. And it was at the expiration of a few years. So now, what I want y'all to pay attention to now is, like, in that Genesis story, like, you getting a fast forward version, right? But these are folks that was living almost 1,000 years. They got a lot of time on their hands, a lot of it. All right, so this all didn't just happen in one time, right? So it says, and in the expiration, and it was at the expiration of a few years that they brought an approximating offering to Yahuwah, and Cain brought from the fruit of the ground, and Abel brought from the firstlings of his flock and the fat thereof. And Elohim turned and inclined to Abel and his offering, and a fire came down from Yahuwah from heaven and consumed it. And unto Cain and his offering Yahuwah did not turn, and he did not incline to it, for he had brought from the inferior fruit of the ground before Yahuwah. And Cain was jealous against his brother Abel on account of this, and he sought a pretext to slay him. All right, so he looking for a reason, right? How many times have we been in that? Like, man, I just wish you would. Soon as you do, boy, and it's like, that's the wrong thing to have in your heart, right? Because that's that seed that's later on going to manifest. It's going to grow those roots and it's going to manifest. Right, so it says, and in some time after, Cain and Abel, his brother, went one day into the field to do their work. So now the seed is there. All it's waiting on is a what? An opportune time. That's it. A little bit of watering of the seed, get a little bit of light shined on it. In this case, darkness. Right? And it's going to sprout and it's going to manifest. So it says, and in some time after, Cain and Abel, his brother, went one day into the field to do their work. And they were both in the field, Cain tilling and plowing his ground, and Abel feeding his flock. And the flock passed that part which Cain had plowed in the ground, and it sorely grieved Cain on this account. And Cain approached his brother Abel in anger, and he said unto him, what is there between me and thee, that you come to dwell and bring your flock to feed in my land? So now it's like the straw that broke the camel's back, right? He's not really so mad in that moment about what the flock is doing, but it's all of this whole, I really feel some type of way, because back then that offering wasn't accepted and I didn't like that, right? So now anything that can happen, anything is gone. Don't blow me over, right? And Abel answered his brother Cain and said unto him, what is there between me and thee, that thou shalt eat the flesh of my flock and clothe thyself with their wool? Well, hold on now, wait a minute now. You gonna be petty about that, but hey, bro, the clothes you got on came from my flock. Oh, praises. And now, therefore, put off the wool of my sheep with which thou hast clothed thyself, and recompense me for their fruit and flesh which thou hast eaten. And when you shall have done this, I will then go from thy land as thou hast said. And Cain said to his brother Abel, surely, if I slay thee this day, who will require thy blood from me? You ain't gonna do nothing. If I give you the business right now, who gonna save you? Right? And when Cain heard, my bad, I think I skipped. Where was I? 22. And Abel answered Cain, saying, surely Elohim, who has made us in the earth, he will avenge my cause. and he will require my blood from thee, shouldest thou slay me. For Yahuwah is the judge and arbiter, and it is he who will requite man according to his evil, and the wicked man according to the wickedness that he may do upon earth. Somewhere in Revelation, it was talking about Abel's blood still crying out. And now, if you should slay me here, surely Elohim knows thy secret views and will judge thee for the evil which you did declare to do unto me this day. And when Cain heard the words which Abel his brother had spoken, behold, the anger of Cain was kindled against his brother Abel for declaring this thing. And Cain hastened and rose up and took the iron part of his plowing instrument, with which he suddenly smote his brother, and he slew him. And Cain spilt the blood of his brother Abel upon the earth, and the blood of Abel streamed upon the earth before the flock. Was it that serious? It's fighting over nothing, right? Like in a grand scheme of things, you fighting over nothing. But you see how the enemy works, right? Opportune time. It's like that dust cloud, Looney Tunes, hands, feet. Meanwhile, Bugs done slipped out and he just watching.
And reading all of this, and I've read it a long time ago, but I could never understand where did Cain actually get the idea to slay his brother. Mm-hmm. But nobody had ever done it. He never seen it. I mean, this was all new. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, who taught you this? Who told you this? Who even gave you the idea to kill your brother? I know it didn't come from Yah. I know it didn't come from your mother and father. So if by process of elimination, ain't but one person left to instill this anger and this hatred to the point to where you would actually kill your own brother. I would never raise my hand to my little brothers or any of my brothers for anything now, especially now that I know who I am and what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing, regardless of how angry, they might have done something to me. But, because this is the flesh of your flesh is your flesh, blood of your blood. I mean, you came from the same two individuals. So, I was always thinking about who gave you this idea and these directions to actually do this to your own brother. And like I said, if you do process of elimination, ain't but one individual that would push you to the point to where, or instill in you to the point to where you would actually commit murder.
Like you said, thorns and thistles. Like thorns and thistles is gonna bring forth. Like part of it is just the wicked carnal nature, and then you got your own desire, sin lying at the door, and then you got the ruachs of the enemy, which, like, you ever see how some people say, like, I be watching those true crimes and stuff like that. I don't know why I be doing it, but I be doing it. And sometimes it's voices in their head. Sometimes they just black out, and they can't tell you what really happened. Like, it's like, how does that happen? Some took over you, and some took you to this point.
Satan.
That's it. And your flesh is going to agree with the wicked one every time, 10 times out of 10. Like, your natural carnal flesh, like, ain't no good in that thing. So you leave it, and, it's just like a field or any other field, right? What happens? Don't do nothing. I guarantee you're going to go back out there. It's going to be dandelions, weeds, weeds galore all over the place. The only way that yeah, very healthy, but we don't like them. At least I don't like them. I don't want to see them. Yeah, like, hey, yeah. When I was working with the Chinese, like, the dude looked at me and he was like, in America, y'all call these weeds, and he pulled out his lunch and it was dandelions. Like, what in the world? you eating them? He's like start breaking it down. Like it's one of the most healthy. Like it's more healthy than spinach. It's more healthy than. I said, hey, this is crazy.
I just wanted to add that, you're like, where did this come from? What made these people do this? The word says envy and strife. The word says where envy and strife is, there's confusion in every evil work. And he was envious of his brother. And that was strife. That conversation that was had, that was full of strife and contention. Mm-hmm. And what happened after that? Evil work. Mm-hmm. And when sin is finished, it produces death.
Mm-hmm. That was envy. That's nothing that he grew up with or he's seen.
Yeah.
Something plant that anger and that evilness in him.
Yeah, it's just like a child. I never told my children to tell a lie. I ain't never taught them that. But yeah, it's like, did you just tell me a lie? Like, I know what I know. That ain't the truth. Like, where does that come from? It come from somewhere. And I ain't teach it to you.
Like I said last week again, the word says jealousy is cruel as the grave. So it can take you to the point of killing somebody. And, like it was brought up, there's so many ruachs and principalities, that are in the atmosphere in our dimension. And whatever you are susceptible to, like Abel was, had a heart to please the Father. So Cain was opposite of that. So he was fleshly, he was carnal, he was mean-spirited. So it was in him. He said, the word says we are born in sin and shaped in iniquity. So until you become born again, like I said, you're susceptible to anything. So Cain was the son that was susceptible to death, and that's how it came about. He had the seed of jealousy in him, and it led him to kill his brother. But jealousy is as cruel as the grave. I see it on social media all the time. Young girls kill people thinking they got friends. They got frenemies, and these jealous girls kill their friends just because they're prettier in their mindset. So it's real.
Okay, I just thought about something. Remember when you was like, Elder, like where did he get this idea from? Where did it come from? Nobody ever committed murder. The tree. His mama and his daddy ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So now that's in them. You know how when you eat something, when you digest something, it gets in your bloodstream. So now it's in their body, it's in their blood. And what did they do? Know each other and make some people, and now that's in them. So now they have the knowledge of good and evil. So, and then they have their own desires. Eve thought it looked good for fruit. So Cain thought that was a good idea to kill his brother because it was in him.
Speaking on the literal terms about eating of the apple of good and evil. And we try not to get into that because there's a lot to that a lot of people don't know and don't understand. Sometimes some things could be in your blood that be passed down from your elders, your generational curses, right? Now, there are some people that believe that Abel came from Adam, and exactly. So he's going to do the thing that his father did. This is why he never listened to Yah, because somebody else was in his ear, in Cain's ear, and exactly, he's doing the same thing as his daddy. His daddy was the first liar, the first killer. This is why it's spoken in the scriptures. You are just like your father. Who was the first murderer and the first liar. And that person was the one that was kicked out of the garden. That was kicked out of heaven. So you're gonna do some things that's being cast down in your lineage. But you still have that opportunity to go the other way, because now you have a choice to make. You're not doomed to that unless you just want to be doomed to it. So that's why I always thought about these two individuals is like, how can you hate your brother so much that you were killing, unless you got something in you that's manifested in you to the point to where you'll kill somebody. I mean, because it's hard to kill an individual for no reason. It is, unless you're in a war. In a war, that's a different thing. But just to get up and go kill somebody, that's a hard thing to do for individuals. And exactly, unless you got something instilled in you to where you don't care about life or death.
Okay, let's go to Sister Jessica because I saw her hand first. Then let's go back to Ryan.
Okay, just to
Sister
feed
Karen.
off of what he said, I agree with what he said because I was reading and I've been doing some reading just because things have been happening. So I wanted to get clarification on why is this happening and this and this and that. So I read, and I can't say the exact scripture, but it said that those negative feelings and those wicked feelings could harbor to open a portal for Satan to enter and attach itself unto you. Once he attaches itself to you, anything of God is gone. It's just him at that point because he have a control over your body, your mind, and your actions. And that's when those things come in place of the murder or the hurting of another person. And then once you get out, that spirit get out of you, that's when you be like, what did I do wrong? Why did I do that? I should have just walked away from that situation.
So I will say to that, like, there is a whole layer of the ruachal side of things that we have not even touched on. But what I will say is this, there is exactly what you're saying. There's a connection between a desire that's in your flesh and then a ruach that also wants to enact in that desire. And next thing you know, now it has a vessel where it can operate. So we'll deal with that concept in the next Parsha for sure. We're gonna start dealing with. We'll look a little bit in the book of Enoch. Well, what are these evil? Like, what is an unclean spirit? What is like? We're gonna start to kind of deal with some of that and why they move the way that they move. Because like one thought about it is like, oh, this is the third that fell down from the heavens. But then it's like, I'm not really quite sure that that's what those are, because if you ever look at how Hashatan operates, like, he's not really in the possession business, but more so in other things. Like, he's a little bit higher ranking than something like that. I'll put it that way. You know what I mean? But then you have others that, like, is clearly like got cast into these pigs. Like who are those? What is that? You know what I mean? And then why are they saying, hey, you've come before the appointed time? What appointed time is they talking about? So we'll look into all of that in the next Parsha, because it's a lot there. But you right on point with that. Like, they can't. There's a reason why so many times when he would cast out ruachs, why he would also say what? Hey, go and sin no more, right? It's something that you did to open up this door to let them be able to come in. Right. It's something that you entertaining and that you having in your heart that's allowing them to come in. And then, yeah. So all praises.
Nah, I was just thinking and getting ready to do like a quick recap. I think you started to do the recap at the very beginning. You see the heavenly council. Things were supposed to be set up on earth as it is in heaven. You see a fall of some angels. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because the elder asked, like, where did this come from? And basically, because you brought up the tree, but there's an entity, he talked about these angels, these cherubim, who's guarding this tree, but later down the road, now other nations is being introduced to this tree. I don't want to go down no rabbit holes, but I was just thinking basically about the what would you call it? These angels, these fallen angels, rebelling against the Most High, and rebelling against the Most High, like she says, is gonna bring death. Ultimately, we just talked about letting things in and this and that. There's some other entities that's at play here. How he got this thought, because these same entities taught men how to make weapons of war. And so if you know how to make weapons of war, then they're not going to just tell you how to make the weapon. They're going to tell you what it's for. Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to leave it right
All
there.
praises. Like I said, we going to go into that in the next Parsha, or we definitely going to deal with that whole scenario, that whole situation. It's going to explain a lot.
Well, I concur with everything that's been said, and I, in agreement with my sis here, who brought it, went back to the garden, because when I'm at United, that's what I had mentioned over there. How when I'm like on social media and I see a lot of people in the comments like, why, if God is this, then why would He let this happen, and why? All this is happening. He let this happen to my family and my sister, blah, blah, blah. And I always, the Ruach has led me to take them back to the garden. Because a lot of people want to blame the Creator, our Creator, for everything. And like Ryan said, He had a perfect plan for us in the beginning. We weren't supposed to know all of this. We weren't supposed to know about death and sickness and illness and weapons of mass destruction. And, so as far as Cain, like I had mentioned already, Abel had more of a heart open to our Creator. He was more willing to please the Father, but Cain was the seed that he wasn't the same as Abel. He just wasn't. And so that opened up a portal in his life, as Sis said, to pull in those entities that to cause him to want to murder his brother, become the first example of the first murder to exist. Because he opened up himself to that because of the jealousy. I mean, it all stemmed from once, Eve ate of the fruit, it opened our eyes to everything. That's how. So it was a trickle-down effect. It was a domino effect into where we are here today, suffering, still in captivity, going through pain and suffering and poverty and famine and, the list goes on and on. We weren't supposed to know none of this. That's why He told them, forbid that tree, don't touch it. Don't, but the enemy was there, like he said, when he was kicked out. He was on a mission ever since. Like, I'm going to get him back. I'm going to get him. You going to kick me out? Okay, watch how many souls I get from you. So that was his mission from that point on. And when the disobedience came, which was the first sin, was disobedience. It was pride, of course, in heaven. But once it came on earth, it was, disobedience. And pride, like I said, is the foundation. But that's why we're here where we are. It stems from the garden.
All praises. You have some out? All praises.
First murder. I don't know, was that really the first murder? Maybe physically, but spiritually the first murder? I mean, think about it. What happened to them after they was disobedient? Right. Because they wasn't flesh, they was spirit. So when they was disobedient to the Most High, I mean, I don't know. I'm just asking. You think that would be considered the first murder? Because it killed their spirit? They was no longer spirit, they was flesh after that. I don't know, it's just a thought.
All praises.
I just I know we're on this for a long time, but they was in safety in the garden. You remember when Cain was cast out? What did he tell the Most High? they're going to do what to his life? So obviously he knew out in this world, man, if I'm out here, they're going to seek my life. And that's why the Most High put a mark on him. So whoever took his life, hey, this is going to happen to them 7 times. So there was already killing was already here. But it's just like even with us, when we leave the will of the Most High, now we're susceptible to anything. We're out of his protection.
What would be evidence of that would be Joe. Because Satan said, y'all asked him, what are you doing? He said, I'm traveling to and fro to see who I can destroy. So there's a minimum of protection that Yah has over us. Because if he didn't, we would all be, acceptable to Satan's devices. So he has a minimum amount of protection over us. Now, when he moves, he's just like Satan said, if you didn't have that hedge around Joe, I could get to him. So, that's when y'all removed some of the hedge and told him, well, you can do anything you want to him, but you can't kill him. And the same is for us. If it wasn't for his love and protection over us, Satan would run amok. He would run amok. We would have no way to stop him or defend ourselves against him. So Yah has a certain amount of protection because he's only letting Satan do certain things. And that's the protection that he has for us. Satan just can't run amok around everybody and do whatever he wants to do when he want to do it. No, he has a time frame for everything that he has to do, which Yah allows him to do. So in order for him not to be able to do that, we got some protection around us. And I thank Yah for that. I truly do, because I don't want to be at the whim of Satan. I know I can call on him when things get real bad, and he will remove whatever it is that Satan is trying to do. But I'm very thankful that, I have some form of protection around us and each one of us in order for us to have a choice.
All praises. All praises. So Genesis 4:10, right? And he said, what have you done? The voice of your brother's blood cries unto me from the ground. And now you are cursed from the earth, which has opened her mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you till the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto you her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shall you be in the earth. All right, so notice what's taking place here. This is reminiscent, but very different from what happened with his father, right? So there's something about it that's similar. Remember, when his father was cursed, what was he told? Thorns and thistles. You'll get some good out of the land, but it's going to come from hard work, right? By the sweat of your brow will you eat the bread from this land. Earth was cursed for Adam's sake. It would still bring forth good fruit as long as he was willing to work it. In Cain's case, not only is the earth cursed, but he is cursed now from it, right? So earth still got that same curse of his father. But then on top of that, now he's cursed even from that. So no matter what he does, he will not get increase from it. Because of this, he will be a wanderer in the land. So could it be that Cain is considered a reprobate because of his response and because of what was in his heart? If the ground is representative of him, is it possible that he will not be able to bring forth good fruit in a spiritual sense, right? And we'll see how Cain responds to this, right? So no matter what you do now with this land, or with this ground, with you yourself, right? Like, you're not going to get anything good out of it. Like, what did John the Baptist or Yehukanah Mercer say? Bring forth fruit worthy meat of repentance. He's well past that point now, even if he wanted to. And we're going to see as it unfolds. So verse 13, it says, and Cain said unto Yahuwah, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Was this punishment too great for his crime? Or was it merciful? Merciful, right? You got some mercy, some compassion. You took a man's life, your life should be taken. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Had to know something. Bringing sacrifices and knew something. Said, behold, you have driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from your face shall I be hid. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that everyone that finds me shall slay me. And Yahuwah said unto him, therefore, whosoever slays Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And Yahuwah set a mark upon Cain, lest any fighting him should kill him. And Cain went out from the presence of Yahuwah and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. All right, so now that word Nod, H5110, to nod, that is to waver, figuratively, to wander, to flee, to disappear. All right, so he's sending him to a land that is known for this, right? H5113, the same as 5112, vagrancy, nod, the land that Cain went to, right? 5112, exile, wandering. Where did we get sent when we disobeyed them? Sent into exile, right? Okay. 5128, to waver in a great variety of applications, literally and figuratively, as subjoined, continually, to be a fugitive, to make, to go up and down. Who else go up and down? You know? Okay. To be scattered, to stagger, to be a vagabond, to wander, right? You ain't got no place to call home. You just here, there. Now, just keep that in mind, because in the next Parsha, we're going to find, it's going to be something about a difference between a dove and a raven. And a raven, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. But just keep all of this in mind, because we're going to start seeing how all of this is, how it's all working out. We're going to really dig into that. So did Cain accept his judgment? Notice that he is dwelling in a place of exile or wandering. To dwell is to permanently stay. So it is also worth noting that this place is east of Eden, and perhaps it's called Nod because this is where Adam and Eve exited the garden. All right, so Genesis 3:23. Therefore Yahuwah Elohim sent him forth from the Garden of Eden to till the ground from whence he was taken. This is talking about Adam. So he drove out the man, and he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubim and a flaming sword, which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. Right? So now they left the garden through the east. Right? And then that place just happens to be called Nod, or the place of exile, place of scattering, right? Wandering. Genesis 4:16, and Cain went out from the presence of Yahuwah and dwelt in the land of Nod. Where? On the east of Eden. And Cain knew his woman, and she conceived and bore Enoch or Hanak. And he built a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son, Enoch or Hanok. So now, man was originally put in what? A garden, right? Now Cain just left. Now he was a gardener, right? But now, since he's cursed from the earth, what does he do now? He had to go and build a city, right? Now, let me ask y'all this. New York, right? They call it a concrete jungle. Literally everything there is concrete, right? If all the power go out in New York City, who's going to live there? you can't survive in that place. The only thing that allows you to survive there is the city system. That's it. Outside of that, like you can't, it's not a land that can sustain you, right? You're not growing no food, you're not Dubai, right? Let them cut all of that. It'd be just like our ancestors was in the wilderness, right? We don't went these 3 days with no water. So I say all that to say that the city system is a system that operates outside of the rules of Elohim's natural order and natural designed way that things function, right? Like his natural design function is agriculture. Work this land, right? And if you work this land, you're gonna get the good. Plant these seeds. I'm gonna cause the rain. You in tune with me, in tune with the seasons. You're gonna gain plenty of wisdom along the way, right? But then now we got this. And to his credit, he has no choice, right? Because he's cursed in the land. And on top of that, like, he got to go far away from his mother, his father, his siblings that was back over there. He got to, again, he's worried, hey, if they find out what I done, they don't kill me. So he got to come up with a system in order to survive outside of this natural order.
This scriptures can be very complex. You know, for some people it can be. Just like he said, who do I teach knowledge to? Those that are off the milk. So when I was reading this, right, this was years ago, I often wondered, how can you name a place unless somebody lives there? I mean, it's no way you can name a place unless somebody exists there in order to name it. Now, that's like I said, I don't want to open up a can of worms. I really don't. But, you know, I've always thought about how can you name a place unless somebody actually lives there? Move to the land of Nod. I mean, nothing. I mean, if it was just you, those four there, anywhere you went, you would have to name it after you got there, not before you get there. So this is just something that's been going around in my mind for a long, long time. And like I said, we're never going to get all the answers because I think a lot of our books are still missing that can fill in a lot of these blanks, you know. But when I go to read and study things, I look at things very careful and very methodically, right? Because, you know, somebody was asking me a question, I want to be able to give them a reasonable answer, you know. But this has always been a mystery for me, you know, and I pray that someday that y'all will give me show me the way that would answer some of these things. But I'm always amazed by some of the things that I do read and I do study. But just like I said, you know, it's just like you're going on the east side of Dayton, you know, it's got a name, and that's because somebody lives there, resides there. You know what I mean? You just starting to go name a place that nobody lives there. It don't make any sense, you know. But like I said, I don't want to open a can of worms, but this is how I look at things, and I try to break things down and get a deeper understanding of what he's trying to convey to all of us.
All praises. So yeah, it's a fair assessment. What I'll do is I'll share two perspectives, okay? And I'm gonna tell you which one I lean towards. Like you said, I can't be for sure, but I'll present two different perspectives, right? So one perspective is that Adam and Eve are not the only two, and that outside of the garden, it was mankind outside of that, and that so when he's in fear, he's leaving and saying that those people on the outside out there, outside of our family, is who's going to harm me, right? my pushback to that and the alternative approach to it is, like I said, we got to keep in mind that even though the Genesis account is giving it to us rapid fire, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of time in between point A and point B. Obviously, we know we never heard anything in the Genesis account about any daughters, but they obviously had to have had some, right? And trust me, if you got 1,000 years on your hands almost, it's a lot. It's a lot of baby making that's taking place in there. Look, I'm just being honest. Like if we thought that the oppression in Egypt was we ain't had nothing else better to do. Like, what you think is just a couple of us out here? Come on now. But so you got all of these hundreds of years. It's a lot of generations and a lot of being fruitful and multiplying that's taking place in this time period. But we're not getting that in the Genesis story because that's not the main point of the story, right? So we're going to dig into a couple of, in the next couple of slides, because I'm going to ask that question, well, who did Cain marry, right? So, like, we're going to dig into it from a historical perspective and what are some of the possibilities that they thought, right? Or that was written and recorded in that, because it kind of challenges that point of view is that, oh, okay, well, they just left out and it was some other uncivilized people that was out there. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that it's not a possibility, but yeah, like I said, I'm going to present both possibilities and try to represent them. You had a mic over there. Okay, all praises. So we're going to keep it, we're going to keep going. So, like I said, who did Cain marry and start his family with? And then who would he have been afraid of? And why would they have wanted to kill him for what he did, right? Like, who was he afraid of? And then why would they have wanted to kill him once they heard what he did? Unless it was somebody that Abel meant something to, right? Like, if it's, otherwise they might not have, it's like, okay.
But that's what I'm saying, 900-something years with only 2 kids, that's rough, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's.
If this is all you got, it's all you got.
But y'all got to remember, like, again, this is 700 and 800, 900 years down the line. This is not direct. This is down the line. Like, so if you got 900 years and I have a child, right? Within 100 years, my child may have 4 or 5 kids. Within the next 200 years, those kids go have more kids. This is way down the line. This is not direct. This is common sense, y'all.
So
go ahead.
We'll keep going, and then we'll see what some of the other texts are saying. So, because that's definitely not the can of worms that I'm trying to open up. Like, that's definitely not the direction that I'm going.
Right.
All that I'm trying to do here, yeah, right? Like, dang, Jack, get back in the box. Get back in the box. Like, so look, we'll walk through it. And I just want to, again, point out a couple perspectives, right? Because one thing that we can all agree on is that the biblical account in Genesis is silent on the matter. It does not go into detail one way or the other, right? So yeah, we're going to get to chapter 5. Yeah. Khan, all praises. So all praises. So who did he marry? Like, who did he start his family with? All right, so Book of Jasher. All right, so I'm going to give you a couple accounts. All right, so this is the Book of Jasher. Jasher 1 and 33. All right, it says, and at that time Cain went out from the presence of Yahuwah and from the place where he was, and he went moving and wandering in the land toward the east of Eden, he and all belonging to him. So he wasn't the only person that went. It was all of his belongings, and we're going to see that it was some folks, some other people that went with him. All right. So verse 34, it says, and Cain knew his wife in those days, and she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name Enoch, saying, in that time, Yahuwah began to give him rest and quiet in the earth. All right. So we still got to answer this question. Well, who is it that went with him? All right. So Jubilees 4, this is the book of Jubilees, chapter 4, starting at verse 1. All right. It says, and in the third week of the second Jubilee. So now, how long is a Jubilee? We got, it's a 50-year period, right? 7 weeks of 7, and on the 50th is the Jubilee, right? So again, like I keep saying, it's a lot of time that's taking place, even though it's the story in Genesis is happening very quickly. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of time, right? So, and in the third week of the second Jubilee, she gave birth to Cain. And in the fourth, she gave birth to Abel. And in the fifth, she gave birth to her daughter, Awan. So now, Jubilees is talking about a daughter that was born. We didn't get that in the Genesis text, but now we're getting that in Jubilees, right? So it says, in the first year of the third Jubilee, Cain slew Abel because Elohim accepted the sacrifice of Abel and did not accept the offering of Cain. And he slew him in the field, and his blood cried from the ground to heaven, complaining because he had slain him. And Yahuwah reproved Cain because of Abel, because he had slain him, and he made him a fugitive on the earth because of the blood of his brother, and he cursed him upon the earth. And on this account it is written in the heavenly tablets, cursed is he who spites his neighbor treacherously, and let all who have seen and heard say, so be it. And the man who has seen and not declared it, let him be accursed as the other. And for this reason we announce when we come before Yahuwah our Elohim all the sin which is committed in the heaven and on earth, and in light and in darkness and everywhere. So, mind you, to give you some background, this is an angel, if you will. This is one of the messengers that is having this dialogue and this conversation with quote unquote Moses. Okay. And he's saying, hey, look, because of this, we record and we report everything. Right. So it says, and Adam and his wife mourned for Abel 4 weeks of years. It's a long time. Right. A week of years is 7 years. And they did this for 28 years. Right. And in the 4th year of the 5th week, they became joyful, and Adam knew his wife again, and she bare him a son, and he called his name Seth, for he said, Elohim has raised up a second seed unto us on the earth instead of Abel, for Cain slew him. And in the 6th week, he begat his daughter, Azurah. And Cain took Awan, his sister, to be his wife, and she bare him Enoch at the close of the 4th Jubilee. And in the 1st year of the 1st week of the 5th Jubilee, houses were built on the earth, and Cain built a city and called its name after the name of his son, Enoch, right? So now that's one account there, right, is that he wasn't the only person that left, right? When it went down, everybody who was on the side with Cain went with him. All praises. All praises. All right, so Cain, I'm going to go back. So that's, I don't want to breeze over that. So that's one of the perspectives on it, right? One of the perspectives is, which is, I would say, probably the more historical perspective, is that you'll see in both Jubilees and in Jasher that they agree on that point, that he married one of his sisters. And that's who he started his family with, right? But again, like you said, I'm not going to push back too much on the possibility, you know what I mean, that maybe it was other people out there. I just personally, I lean more on the textual evidence than I will what I don't have. So for me, I'm kind of taking that into mind and saying, okay, no, it's a long time. We talk about decades upon decades upon decades. Yeah, there was a lot more people on the earth than just those two, you know, or just those three now at this point, Adam, Eve, and Cain, because now he done killed his brother. It was way more than just those three people, you know what I mean? So.
Look at the word replenish, that means
Con.
So that's another story.
Con.
Blessed him. So, there's a lot of pieces here.
Con.
You know,
and I'm right there with you on that, Elder.
Right.
Con.
That we can, we can put in here to try to figure out exactly what happened. Now, why would you create male and female, bless them, and then tell them to replenish the earth unless they were here prior to Adam and Eve being made?
Again, like I said, I'm not gonna push back on you too much about that. That is one of the it's one of the perspectives on it. One of the perspectives on it is that there was a pre-Adamic.
Let me see. I read a lot, study a lot. The word was always there in the beginning. There was always the word. So in the word was contained all the laws, all the things that Yah wanted us to know. So to say that, we found out later on in life, it's not true, because we see evidence that they did keep the sacrifices. They knew all about the sacrifices. So there's some point of the law was established with them, actually after sin was entered into the world. So, like I said, it's a lot of parts to this. And, like I said, I don't want to open up a can of worms, which we already have, But I think there's some pieces that are missing that we don't have, and I think there's some things that, that we maybe never will know until Yah comes back and explains it to us, But to me, I would feel like, this is my feelings on it, that Yah will never put us in a position where you would have to sin. He's not going to do that. There's always going to be a way out of this, So to say that, Cain married his sisters and things of that nature, I'm skeptical of that, because Cain would be doing a lot. First, you just the Most High by giving him, unfavorable sacrifice. Then you kill your brother. Then you lie to him, and now you taking your sister. Man, come on. Cain taking on a whole lot and still walking around.
I'm glad you said that was your opinion, Elder. Because the Most High, one thing he says is in his word, our thoughts are not his thoughts, and our ways are not his ways, says he. So what doesn't make sense to us is, like I said, was telling you off the mic, the Most High, it's not about sin. Now, we, in our finite thinking, looking at saying the I word, but it's not, in the Most High's eyes, that's not what that would be. I'm not speaking for the Most High. I'm just saying, if you're going to say the Most High is setting a mankind up for sin, that would be a lie, because yeah, that's your opinion. You don't believe, but you don't look at it as that I word. You don't look at it as the I word. If it were saying that that's what happened, then who are we to say that that's wrong? Because he makes no mistakes. And that doesn't mean something's missing because we don't understand it. It's just what his word says. He said, let God be true and every man a liar, Romans 3 and 4. So it's not perverted. We don't have a perverted God. So if that's how he said be fruitful and multiply in the beginning, that's how creation had to develop for us to get here to today. That's why we say everybody's related. We're all related. We're all connected to our first parents, Adam and Eve. But if that's neither here nor there. But we can't, our thoughts are not his thoughts. We have to be careful.
So I do want to clarify his point that he's making. I want to be fair across the board. The point that he's making is in defense of saying that he does not believe that Elohim is perverted. So that's what his. Yeah, well, so I'm just trying to, again, bridge the gap in between the two so that the communication can be fruitful. All that he's saying is he doesn't believe that, and that's what leads him, which is a fair, if I'm being fair, right? Like, if I'm going to remove myself from the situation, I'm going to be fair, and I'm going to say, okay, one, we dealing with a situation that, as far as the biblical text is concerned, it is obscure. right? So at this point, best that I can do is lend myself to maybe some additional text, or if I don't choose to look at those, whatever the other possibilities are to fill in the gaps. But what I don't want to do is have any of our hearts misrepresented in that conversation, right? So what he's saying is he doesn't believe that the Father will put them in any situation where they have to violate his Torah, right? And that is a fair statement to make. I'm not going to push back on that in itself, right? What he's saying is, hey, we know that the Father, Leviticus 18, Leviticus 20, it teaches us that incest is a no-no, right? So what he's saying is he doesn't believe, if that's the case, then he's saying, hey, he would not have created mankind in that, if that's the case, to where they would have to do that, right? So I understand what he's saying. Now, what you're saying is, hey, again, it's an argument out of silence. All we can go off of is what the word says, and the word only tells us Adam and Eve. It doesn't tell us anything else about anybody else, right? So what she's saying, her pushback is coming from saying, but hey, I'm looking in the Genesis text, the only two that we hear about is Adam and Eve, right? Now that's, again, between the both of them, it's a nuanced conversation, because if we start getting into the text of it and start looking at it in Hebrew, then we say, okay, well, we can say at the very least that we look at it in English is often translated in the beginning, but really, if you look at it according to how the at least the Masoretic tradition, is in a beginning. So was there a possibility that there was something that happened pre-Adamic or before Adam, and we just get in the story after he's reset everything? I don't know. That's one of those things where I have to say, I don't have any text on it. I don't have any record on it, so I don't know. Hey, Father, when that time comes, he'll let us know. But what I can say is he did create Adam. He did create Eve. They had these children. I can say, well, Book of Jubilees, Book of Jasher, although those aren't Torah, they do say that it was his sister. I can't say, so that's as far as I can go. But whether or not you choose to, let every person be convinced in their own heart, right? Who am I to judge another man's servant? You serve the Most High just like I do. And we all trying to figure it out, right? So, but I do, like I said, temperature check. Like, I do want to make sure that all of our hearts on the conversation is being represented the right way, right? Like, all that we trying to do is find the answers on both sides of that argument. So, all praises. All praises. Sister Dobby.
Somewhere, I don't know where I read it. It may have been a book called God and the Nations by Kenneth Morris or something like that. Well, back then, the Father believed in keeping our bloodline and our nation whole. So it did point out somewhere that I read that he allowed the bloodline to stay whole through the wholeness of the bloodline, the family. So he allowed brothers and sisters to marry and do things decent and in order to keep the bloodline whole. I don't know, around what timeline it stopped or whatever, but that was okay for him in the beginning. Wherever it was, I read it, I don't know.
Khan, Akron.
Just throwing this out here, food for thought. In Hebraic culture, a woman that's of the family can be called a sister. Is it direct sister, like my father's daughter? So just something to look at, because that should kind of settle this a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? So that's just like Abraham, I married my sister. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
Once we get there, we're going to go through that whole thing there and really break that down, because it's not quite what it seems like at the naked. We'll deal with that too.
Yeah. So I just wanted to throw that out there to kind of like calm the situation down, because it might not just be saying like my mom and dad's sister. Mm-hmm. It could just be saying a woman of the family that's down the line will still be called a sister, mm-hmm. or a mother, mm-hmm. or an aunt. Mm-hmm.
And some, like the arguments like that, they can go on and on. Like some would say, well, Eve was made directly from Adam, so how could he it's all the amount of ways that the gaps can be filled in is innumerable. Like I said, my job is just to try to present as much textual evidence as I can, And, you know, from that point, do what you will with it. You know what I mean? But, yeah, all praises. We told me, oh,
Yes.
all praises.
And I'm sorry, I don't need the mic. Because these people are coming from Adam and Eve, so they are all of the same blood right now. Yeah. These ain't different nations. Right. They're all of the same blood, so she can still be called a sister. That's all. That's all.
All praises. All praises. All praises. So Cain named his son Enoch or Hanok. All right, Hanok. This is the word Hanok means to dedicate, and this is where the word Hanukkah or the Feast of Dedication comes from, right? So in Hebrew, the word for dedication or to dedicate something is same as the root of Enoch, right? Notice that Cain built the city and dedicated it to his son. So this is very different from what we will see later, where places are dedicated to Elohim. All right, so Genesis 4:18, and unto Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begat Mehusael, and Mehuyael begat Methusael, and Methusael begat Lamech. And Lamech took unto him 2 women. The name of one was Adah, and the name of the other Zillah. And Adah bore Yaval or Jubal, saying where we get Jubilee. He was the father of such as dwell in tents, and as of such as have cattle. And his brother's name was Yuval, and he was the father of all of such as handle the harp and organ. And Zillah, she also bore Tubal Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron, and the sister of Tubal Cain was Naamah. All right, so not with a 10-foot pole, y'all. Don't even try it. I'm letting y'all know right now that is a can of worms that we will not open up today. All right, so we're gonna leave that alone. Once we get to Jacob, or perhaps once we start dealing with Abraham, that's when I'm gonna cross that bridge there. All right. So notice how Cain has to adapt to a city life system because he cannot get anything from the earth. Instead, his descendants will trade services such as entertainment for their survival. All right. So you start noticing that now, okay, well, how am I going to get fed, right? I got to do a song or dance or whatever. You pay me for that, and then I can get some food, right? So then you're going to start to find all of these other systems and things like that that they have to do to survive, right? All right, so what were they doing to the name of Yahuwah when they called on it? All right, so Genesis 4:25. And Adam knew his woman again, and she bore a son and called his name Seth. For Elohim, she said, has appointed me another seed instead of Abel, whom Cain slew. And to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called his name Enosh. Then began men to call upon the name of Yahuwah. All right. So now that sounds like a good thing, right? At first, like, man, in them days, men began to call on the name of Yahuwah. That sounds like a good thing. But what we're going to see is that it's really not. All right. So the word for began, all right, is kalal. All right. H2490. A primitive root, compare 2470 properly to bore, like drilling a hole into something. That is, by implication, to wound, to dissolve, figuratively to profane a person, place, or thing, to break one's word, to begin as if by opening a wedge, to play a flute, to defile, to break, right, to pollute, to prostitute, to slay, to stain. So what we're seeing is that in these days is when it's starting to get out of hand, right? They're starting to defile his name. Right? When they call on it, they calling on his name and muddying his name. So that's what's happening in the days of Seth, which when we get to chapter 6, here we are at Noah. It had to have got real bad real fast for him to have to wipe everything out, because it's bad now and he ain't wiped it all out yet, y'all. So just something to think about. All right, so Genesis 5:1. This is the book of the generations, or the Toledot of Adam. In the day that Elohim created man, in the likeness of Elohim made he him. Male and female he created them, and he blessed them and called their name Adam, or mankind, Adam as a whole, in the day when they were created. And Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness. So now Adam was created in what? The image and likeness of the Most High. But now you're going to see that there's a break in this, right? His children from that point forward are not being born in the image and likeness of the Most High. They being born in the image and likeness of what? Of their father, right? So, and Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness after his image and called his name Seth. And the days of Adam after he had begotten Seth were 800 years, and he begat sons and daughters. And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. So notice here, Seth was born in the image and likeness of his father Adam. All right, so now y'all understand why Mashiach is saying in the future, don't you understand you got to be what? Born again, right? That which is of the flesh, but that which is of the spirit is of the spirit, right? So you're going to have to be born again in this newness of life and become a new creation if you want the image and likeness of the Most High, right? So all praises. We wrapping up. So in closing, because that whole chapter from that point is genealogy, and I ain't feel like reading unless, y'all had the House of Refuge, the Refugee Bible, audio Bible going on earlier. I said, man, I sounded smooth. Brian over here on the keys, it sounded good. Then Sis tapped in, Elder tapped in. I said, hey, we need to put this on wax. So all praises. Yeah, so unless y'all want to do that with chapter 5, I said I'm going to leave it out because I was sure at that point, I was like, yeah, we're going to have been going for a minute. So what I did was I just took all the names of that genealogy out, right? Because we so often read over the genealogies, right? And it's like, it's just names. And it's like, he begat so-and-so and lived 100 years, then he died. And he begat so-and-so and lived 100 years, and he bore sons and daughters, and he died.
So what I was going to say, next Shabbat when we come in, before the lesson gets started, you know what I'm saying, we can go ahead and read through that part and bring you up to where you need to be.
All praises, Ori. Like I said, I got it right here. I wasn't going to read it. I was just going to point the names out because there's a little message in it. Yeah, like we right here in the home stretch now. So, yeah. Because next week I definitely want to get out of this Parsha. So, yeah, all praises. So, you have Adam, Seth, Enosh, Canaan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah. Those are all the names in that genealogy, all right? So, what I did was I put what their names mean, okay? So, Adam means what? Mankind, right? Seth means to set or put in place or something that is appointed. All right, Enosh, a mortal, another word for man, like the mortality of man, right? Canaan is a dwelling place. Mahalalel means praise of El or light, or the quote-unquote shining of El, but really praise of El. Jared means to descend. Enoch, we already said, means to dedicate or to train up. All right, Methuselah, man of the sprout or man of an offshoot. Right, and then depending on how you look at what is the actual root of the word, it can literally mean his death will bring. All right, so and then you have Lamech, which means powerful, and then you have Noah, which means rest. All right, so when we put this together, could it be showing us a powerful prophecy? Right, you put the meanings of these names in a sentence, and this is what you get. There is a man or a son of Adam appointed in the mortal dwelling place, the praise of El to descend or to come down to train up. The man of the shoot, his death will bring powerful rest. So, again, for so many of those, I'm going to just say, Mashiach wasn't lying when he said, hey, yo, before Abraham was, no, I am, right? So this whole thing is we seeing a fall of mankind in this, and then this ending showing us what our gateway back to the Father is going to be. All right. So Isaiah 11:1, it says, "And a rod shall come forth from the stump of Jesse, and a sprout from his root shall be fruitful. The spirit of Yahuwah shall rest upon him, the spirit of wisdom and understanding, the spirit of counsel and might, the spirit of knowledge and of the fear of Yahuwah, and shall make him breathe in the fear of Yahuwah. And he shall not judge by the sight of his eyes, nor decide by the hearing of his ears. But with righteousness he shall judge the poor, and shall decide with straightness for the meek ones of the earth, and shall strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and slay the wrong with the breath of his lips. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and trustworthiness the girdle of his waist. And a wolf shall dwell with the lamb, and a leopard lie down with the young goat, and the calf and the young lion and the fatling together, and a little child leads them." So now, what does that sound like? That sounds like restoration, don't it? It sounds like the way that things were in Eden is going to get restored. And this is how it's going to get restored, is through this same son that perhaps, I don't know, y'all tell me, is being prophesied through these names. Right? So, yeah, all praises. It says, "And the cow and bear shall feed, their young ones lie down together, and a lion eat straw like an ox. And the nursing child shall play by the cobra's hole, and the weaned child shall put his hand in the adder's den. They do no evil nor destroy in all my set apart mountain, for the earth shall be filled with the knowledge of Yahuwah as the waters cover the sea. And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, standing as a banner to the people. Unto him the nations shall seek, and his rest shall be esteemed." And then, mind you, what did Noah's name mean? Literally means rest. All right, so Isaiah 11:12, it says, "And he shall raise a banner for the nations, and gather the outcasts of Israel, and assemble the dispersed of Yehudah from the four corners of the earth." So literally, there's an exile that took place, and then through Mashiach, we're going to see a restoration that take place. John 1:1, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was Elohim. He was in the beginning with Elohim. All came to be through him, and without him not even one came to be that came to be. In him was life, and the life was the light of men." Jumping down to verse 11, "He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. But as many as received him, to them he gave authority to become children of Elohim, to those believing in his name." Again, that being born again process, right? You children of your moms and your father, but now he's giving them the ability to once again become children of Elohim. "Who were born not of blood, nor of the desire of flesh, nor of the desire of man, but of Elohim. And the Word became flesh and pitched his tent among us, and we saw his esteem as of an only brought forth of a father, complete in favor and truth." All right, so all praises. With that being said, we done for the day. That's all I got. So, yeah, all praises. We will start a new Parsha. Next Parsha is Parsha Noah. We're going to start getting into Noah. Like I said, expect to dig into Book of Enoch. First Enoch. There's more than one Book of Enoch, but we're going to start looking at First Enoch to kind of supplement. We'll probably touch in Jubilees a little bit of Jasher to kind of supplement what's going on in the story. But yeah, from there we're gonna keep moving until we get through Noah. Up to this point, it's worth noting that there is no Israel yet, right? So all that he's dealing with now is mankind as a whole, right? So now the original plan, as we've been seeing, is this is my plan for all of mankind, whatever, for man. This is what my plan is, right? But then as we keep going forward, we're going to keep seeing how mankind is messing up, and now we're learning another principle of how the Father moves, because instead of him turning on his word, what he's doing is he's just narrowing it down, right? So now he's saying, okay, all of mankind, this ain't going to work. Let me look, because I'm about to just wipe this all out, right? Because next week, we're going to see the reset, the great reset, right? Like, you know, say, wipe it all out. But so that I don't go back on what my original plan was, let me preserve the righteous out of the earth, right? So he looked and he finds Noah and Noah's family, right? Then from that point, he going to make a covenant with Noah, start all the way over. They're going to replenish and be fruitful and multiply on the earth. But then what's going to end up happening is as soon as they get off of that ark, the sun's going to go their separate ways, and then it's going to be messed up again, right? Now you got the Tower of Babel being built, and it's like, I got to do something. So, but I said I'm not going to destroy it all. So instead of me giving up on the whole plan of mankind, let me narrow this down a little bit, and I'm going to choose a family out of the earth again. And now through this family, I'm going to let all the other nations do what they're doing, but now through this family, I'm going to start over. And then through this family, what is he going to say to Abraham? Hey, all of the nations that bless you, they can be blessed. But if they curse you, they're going to be cursed, right? So now you're going to start to see that Abraham's family and his descendants are going to have a responsibility to the rest of the world, to be a light to the rest of the nations. So yeah, we're going to keep going from there. All praises. So before we go next week into the next Parsha, any questions as we closing out of this one? Are we told me, oh, we good? Or, hey, all praises. Who said, who was that? Like, man, worms again? I don't want worms tonight. Mama, I don't want worms. All right, what you got? All right. Okay, all praises. So yeah, with that being said, yeah, I'm Tomio.
All praises. Once again, I thank the Most High for giving us another breakdown, chapter 5. He was right. Once you get a grasp of Genesis, everything else falls in place. Everything makes sense. Now you know, as we continue learning, you would know why. Now we understand how salvation was given to everyone. And mankind did what? Messed it up. So as he is giving us coming in the future, because Yahshua is not even, Abraham is not, we haven't even reached none of this yet. So a lot of good things, a lot of good questions, a lot of good thoughts. I thank the Most High for just the knowledge that's in this room. Thank you, Father, for our guests, family, extended family here today. Keep those. If you didn't see someone today, make sure you just send a text message. Hey, shalom, missed you. Hope all is well. Yeah. Start time today was 2:30, and it was beautiful to see cars out.
Yeah, nah, we was lollygagging. That was not on anybody else except me. That was on me. Like, I'm the one, because really originally back in the day we was getting started earlier than what we was. That was on me. Yeah, when the shoe fits, I gotta wear it.
But it was another beautiful Shabbat. Quick announcements. November 29th, Israel now would be fellowship with us. And going forward, we're going to just do a monthly fellowship. So in December, we'll be going down to fellowship with them. And once again, depending how the weather is that particular time, your giving, your alms is. I just realized we've been here for a year. And I thank the Most High for sustaining the ministry. It's a beautiful thing. Like, I'm like, wow. The Father blessed us with this place and with your giving to House of Refuge Dayton or Day, House of Refuge Day. Ayana Holloman is the name. That we're able to come, have a place that we can worship the Father, learn His ways, and fellowship. And as a family continues to grow, let this be a place of refuge, a place of love, respect, how we talk to one another, how we treat one another. Let that be this house. With that being said, I think that's all I have to say. Keep my father in prayer. A young man sent me a message that my father does at the downtown, and he sent me a message, and he was like, "Hey, your pop's been talking about death a lot," and I'm like, "Okay." It kind of threw me off, but just keep him in prayer. I pray that his health is. My parents are kind of private, so if something's going on, they're not going to tell unless it's at the last minute. But, just keep my father in prayer, keep me in prayer, keep my family in prayer. Once again, I thank the Father for the praise reports throughout the Mishpachah. Once again, rejoice with them that rejoice, and weep with those that weep. This is how we show love. This is how jealousy doesn't come in. This is your heat check on how you feel about someone. If your heart's not bubbling because someone just got blessed, then let me check my ruach. But with that being said, got to see the boys, the girls too, everybody. Turn their hands back into you, Ak.
All praises.
What's it? Yeah, covered. I thought I was going to do my Russell Simmons impression. God bless him. Walk off.
Some people like, Russell Simmons, who is that? All praises. Hearts and minds clear. Baruch atah Yahuwah Eloheinu melech haolam, Todah Rabbah Ab Yahuwah, our Father, our provider, our protector, our caregiver, our source of life. We give you all thanks, praise, honor, and esteem for bringing us together on this day, allowing us to dig into your word and try to get as much understanding as we can. We thank you, Father, for opening up those channels of dialogue that we might be able to build with one another. There's an old saying that they say a family that prays together stays together. We know that that's not 100% true. But I will say, as much righteous fellowship as we have with one another, it does give us a whole lot more of an opportunity and a chance to do so. So I give you thanks again, like I said, for that. I thank you, Father, for giving us the opportunity to dig into your word, look at this Torah portion, and as we come to close this Torah portion, hopefully we'll continue to build upon these blocks as we go into the future. Continue to open our eyes, open our minds, as you said in Psalm 119-18, open our eyes to the wondrous things of your Torah. Continue to fill in those gaps for us. Open the eyes of our understanding that's in our mind. Continue to show us how to love one another, how to deal with one another, and how to keep the sin at the line at the door where it belongs, right? Don't let it rule over us, but instead show us how to rule over it. Continue to show us how we can improve and refine our love for one another. Thank you, Father, for bringing everybody here safely. Even at the earlier time that we started, it was definitely a barakah to hear everybody read and meditate. And it was a different ruach in the room today. I could tell that there was preparation that took place before just jumping into the study. So as we continue, I pray that we will continue to do just that. Let our hearts be primed to continue to hear your word, to do your word, and just continue to be the excellent shepherd that you are for your flock, your people, as we continue throughout the week and make it into the next Shabbat. We give you all thanks, honor, and esteem in the name of Mashiach Yahusha. Say Hallel to you, Yahuwah. Let it be so.